Hello, everyone. And for those who know me and those who are meeting me for the first time, I am Nicole Dodd, and I'm the host of Red Eye Holborn's Recruitment Group's Higher Ground series. So thank you for being with us today. So just so you understand, we've created this series to spark thought-provoking conversations and explore dynamic themes and share expert perspectives with both our Red Eye team and influential voices across the globe. And just so you understand, the goal is to leave you inspired, to leave you feeling challenged and energized so that you can go back into the business or into the real working world and actually apply some of the things that you learn here on our podcast. So today I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Verity Price. Now, just a little bit about Verity. So she's an acclaimed businesswoman, a world champion of public speaking, and a renowned presenting coach. So Verity helps leaders uncover their authentic voice, craft compelling stories, and present them with true impact. So with her expertise in transforming communication from ordinary to unforgettable, she equips professionals with the tools to influence, inspire, and lead with confidence. So this is a topic that I'm very passionate about. So welcome, Verity.
Thank you. So nice to be here, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you, Verity. Thank you for taking the time to, like I said, share your wisdom, any golden nuggets with our listeners and our viewers. We really appreciate your time. And yeah, I think let's kickstart. Let's get straight into it. I'm so eager to learn from you today. So, Verity, what does it truly mean to find your voice in the business world?
Sure, that's a good question to start with. And I think that's probably the hardest thing for most people to really find your authentic voice, your take on how you see your business. And for a lot of people, unfortunately, I think we kind of put our voice under a pillow, or we just go, oh, what, I don't know if I should say that, or let me see what the bigger, cleverer people around me have to say. And unfortunately, if your voice isn't in the room, neither is your value. And so it really is about starting to get really clear on what is your take on your industry, on your experience, what are the stories that have shaped you, what are the lessons you've learned. And when you start bringing that into a conversation, after you've left the room, people remember you. And that for me is what finding your voice is, knowing that it's valuable and having the courage to share it where it needs to be heard.
I'm almost feeling like I need to write down these mantras, like affirmations. That is so powerful. Wow, Verity. Like, of course, if you don't share your voice, how do you add value? How do you participate and make impact? And I think that was a big one for me, just that first kickoff statement. And I mean, Verity, how can executives or entrepreneurs uncover their authentic voice in high stakes situations? So in the boardroom, their pitch, whether that's in the elevator or in a conference area, or even in interviews with like media?
It really starts with introspection. You have to know what you stand for. You have to know what drives you, what's your purpose, what's your passion. So this is the work you do before you're in the room. Really starting to, and I call it, I tell people, you've got to get clear on your message, whether it's for a keynote or just about who you are. You need to get clear on your message. And for me, that is, if you could sum up what you stand for in a few succinct sentences, I call them sticky statements. What are the things that you can say about what you stand for in a memorable way? So I can give an example. I learned years ago when I would go to meet an MD or a CEO who maybe wanted to book me to run a strategy session for them. I learned very quickly that if I could sum up in a sentence the value that I was bringing, I would often get the job. And my sentence was, I believe that when people change their thinking, they will change their results. So it was quite sticky, easy to say, easy to remember. And they'd go, oh, yes, you're right. And now we're talking. So find those little sticky statements. I have another one around confidence. Confidence is being okay with things not being okay. And when I say that to someone, it gets a conversation started. So go and find your sticky statements. Have 3 to 5 things that really sum up in a sentence who you are, what you believe, that then starts a conversation. And I think if you go into the boardroom or a conversation with those kind of little mantras that are you and that light you up, that's when people start engaging with your authentic self. So that's a little hack that could help.
Hmm. That is so amazing. It is. It's really just the journey of discovering who you are and feeling comfortable and confident to share that with the world, whether you're a business leader or you run any sort of business operation or run a team, etc. People want to work with you or follow you or be led by you because of your energy and what you stand for. So I think that was also an incredibly powerful statement. And I mean, Verity, talking about the power of like storytelling and your journey and how that shapes you, because you mentioned that. So, why is storytelling such a powerful tool for business leaders?
Oh, so when it comes to storytelling, and the research shows that when people are listening to a story, their
Mm,
brain is 5 times more engaged than if they're listening to stats and data. And we also process images 60 times faster than we process words. So
mm,
why storytelling is so important is it's often painting a picture in someone's mind. And if you are drawing them into a scene or experience where they can see themselves in that experience with you, it's much easier then to land whatever the message is or what you're selling to them once you finish telling that story. So
mm,
storytelling stays with people. We live through sharing stories. We don't data we don't remember. Let's be honest. We forget it very quickly, but a story will stay with someone. So from a leadership perspective, or just from a if you're going into an interview perspective, if you can share who you are through a story that illustrates who you are, and it can sometimes be, this is what happened to me when I was backpacking and how I figured out to get through a really difficult situation where I'd lost all my, I lost my backpack, I lost my passport, but I did these 3 things and I managed to navigate that situation. Someone's going to be
yes.
like, wow, you're resourceful. That's fascinating. I also went backpacking once. Connection. Far
Yes.
better than, let me tell you what I'm really good at. I'm going to give you my 3 strongest strengths. No,
Mm,
tell them a story that illustrates that, that lets them connect with you. And maybe the thing I can leave you with around storytelling is if you're trying to change someone's mind, you first
mm,
need to change their heart. And
mm.
story connects to heart. So start there.
Absolutely. It takes me back, Verity. I live by one of these sayings by Maya Angelou. You might know it. It says, I think it says, you might forget what I said or what I did, but you'll never forget that experience, how you made that person feel. And it
Yeah.
is, it's heart centered, it's emotion. So
Mm.
someone might forget the words that you used or what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, and that will be carried forever. So it's linked to sharing stories, and that's how you connect with people, and that's again how you build your influence and your
Mm.
following and that community
Yeah.
essentially, and what you stand for. So that was incredibly important. And again, leading it back to how you remain memorable, like how people always remember you, whether it's in a conference or a webinar or you've come for motivational speaking. So my question was, what makes a story compelling and memorable in a business or corporate setting? So if we're thinking about a leader who's telling a story, I think it does sort of touch what you've just said, but I mean, maybe an extra comment that you can build on that.
So, what makes a story memorable is when there's a change from the start of the story to the end, where
Ah,
the hero, which is often you're sharing your own story, goes from being frustrated or stuck or scared or failing to having a realization. Maybe someone or something gave them a way to change what they were doing, and then they
mm,
changed and they were different at the end. And
yeah.
out of that change came the message. That's what makes a story compelling. If no emotion changes from the beginning to the end, it's not a story. It's just something random that happened. But if you went from frustrated to enlightened and people go on that journey with you, and you land a message, because great storytellers tell the story and then they get to the end and there's this, and the moral of this story is, that's what
Yes.
stays with people. Oh, wow, I should be prepared, or I should be kind, or whatever it is that you're landing. But if you're not showing a big emotional shift in the character, which should be yourself, um, it's not going to have the same impact. And maybe the last piece here as well is, don't be afraid to share the stories of things that were hard, things that scared you. And sometimes the things you don't want to talk about is where your most powerful stories lie. And are you prepared to share that flawed, frustrated, authentic part of you with people, so that they can go on a journey and be inspired to go, wow, I also want to change in the way you've changed?
Exactly. Precisely, Verity. So I think, again, it is about being vulnerable in that sense and sharing the failures, sharing the obstacles, because in turn, I think that makes you way more successful than someone who hasn't experienced any of that and can really talk from experience. And again, it makes you more resilient as well when you've overcome so much. So yeah, and I mean, how can someone go from being a nervous speaker to a confident, engaging presenter? Like, do you have some like key tips for us?
You have to speak. You have to speak. So that's, unfortunately, speaking is a learn by doing skill. And I always say it's not probably the best place to practice at work if you're not there yet, because it can actually set you up for failure. If it's going, oh, this isn't working, this isn't working, then we start holding our voice back. So I'm a big fan of Toastmasters. It's obviously an organization that changed my life. I was lucky enough to win their world championships, but only one person a year wins that. But of their 400,000 members around the world, everyone who's a member is growing. They're growing their confidence. They're growing their ability to communicate clearly. They're growing their influence and impact in front of an audience. So whether it's Toastmasters or anything that allows you to go and practice communication, get live real-time feedback, and then take that learning into the professional context, I would say do it outside of work, build up that confidence, and then practice what you're learning at work. But you
Yes.
have to speak. You can't just sit going, I hope this gets better if I read some books. And, I've written a book on this, so I love people reading the book, but do it. You can't read about speaking. You have to speak.
No, 100%. There's a big difference between just reading it and dreaming it versus
Mm,
executing and putting yourself
yeah,
out there and doing the
yeah,
work, of course.
yeah,
So Toastmasters is something that I see even on CVs today of my candidates that I engage with. And I always find it quite inspiring when I see that,
yeah,
because I think, again, it speaks to character,
yeah,
and the type of individual that you are challenging yourself, in different aspects so that you can become better at what you do, regardless whether it's personal or business. And so, Verity, what is the one practical tip you generally give leaders before a big talk or a pitch? So, if you're coaching them and they're about to go live or whatever it might be, and you guys get to connect or share a couple of words with each other before that individual goes up on stage, what do you normally share in that moment?
So there's a couple of things. The one is, psychologically, you have to remind yourself, I've put in the work. I've got something valuable to share. What an amazing opportunity. Rather than focusing on, I hope this is going to go well, I hope I don't make any mistakes, rather get into the gratitude of, this is an opportunity to communicate with this audience. I've got something powerful to share. I've put in the work. So it's
Yeah.
always about just having that. I always say begin with the end in mind. See yourself at the end of the presentation and go, oh, that felt good. That landed. So that's the one thing. The other is from a physicality, a physiology perspective.
Mm.
Often before a big presentation, our heart rate speeds up, our body starts feeling like it's almost betraying us and not working with us. We have
Mm.
to then work with our body. So, two things. The one is focus on your breathing. You want to
Mm.
breathe out more than you breathe in, because this calms your heart rate. So, I get people to do nasal breathing in through the nose for 4, they hold for 4, and then
Out for 4.
out through the mouth for 8. So
Oh,
longer
for eight.
exhale.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it completely,
Yeah.
all the areas
Completely.
out, and you're really starting to bring that heart. Okay, I get you. I
And
get
you do
you.
that 3 or 4 times. Listen to beautiful music on the way to the meeting or before you log on. You'll find me
Yes.
dancing around my office before an online keynote, or on the way to a real keynote, I'm playing
Lovely.
music that lifts me up. So these are physical things you can do. And the other one is to look at your body language. And I
Mm,
ask people to strike a power pose, which is to give your body the instruction, I've got this. I'm confident, I'm safe. Because when you're standing like this, and can't always do this in front of people, so do it before, go to the bathroom and get into
love it.
your superwoman, superman, whatever it is. But this is
Yes.
telling my body, I have got this. This told my body and my brain, oh dear, I don't know if I can do this. So I ask people to focus on their posture, their body language, their breathing, and
Yes.
thank themselves for having the courage to be there and trust that you're bringing value. And all of that helps. And then as you start, if you make a mistake, the biggest
Mm,
gift you can give yourself is be okay with that. Roll with
yes.
it. Have the poise and presence of mind to go, oh, well, I wasn't expecting to say that. Get the audience to laugh with you and then carry
There we
on.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Mm,
absolutely love that. I always tell people if you make a mistake on stage, regardless of what you're doing, nobody really knows. You know, that you were either meant to say that, that was planned or strategic. No one knows. So just continue with the flow of it. And like you said, maybe it's something that makes the audience laugh, you know, and
yeah.
it actually further breaks the ice and you become more comfortable in your body.
Mm,
Sharing whatever your presentation is. So apps, those are such key points, Verity. So I love how you went from, you know, the body to the breathing to the positive mindset. So there's all this shift from mental to physical to emotional. Because again, that all needs to be aligned so beautifully so that you can be in your best version.
mm,
Um, and I'm just thinking about how the world is changing so much as well, right? You know, through COVID, things have changed so much from online, etc.
mm,
And we really had to adjust to that. So it was very difficult to see body language or really get a feel for energy,
mm.
you know, through a screen ultimately. So how has presenting changed in an era of Zoom meetings and webinars and AI-driven communication? Maybe you've got some insights.
So in terms of online, I think where people are getting it wrong and not realizing the opportunity is this is the closest you're ever going to be to an audience. This is amazing. They are all this far from you. But when you're doing an online presentation, your energy needs to be 50% higher. So even
Nice.
today, speaking to you, I am speaking with more energy than if we were just sitting across each other, because I've got to speak through the medium and connect with you as if you're here.
Yes.
So if I
Yes.
did the whole talk like this at this level, which is if you are here, I'm not going to connect in the same way. So you
Yeah.
have to go, and body language, you can bring it here. I'm bringing my hands into the screen.
Yes. You can do the
I can
movements if you need
show
to.
I can show what I'm talking about. Guys, this is important. We need to prioritize this. Let's not worry about this right now. So we can do a lot with this space. And a lot of people are forgetting that. They're not filling the screen. Sometimes you just see a little head at the bottom. It's like, I don't think I matter. Why would you speak like this? Fill the screen, have good lighting, make this
Yes.
about being valuable in the space. And from
Mm,
the AI perspective, all very well to use AI to help you with your communication, but if you aren't in it, the audience is going to feel it. So still take
mm.
it and make it your own. You know,
That's
we
it. Keep
need
it
to speak from
natural
here.
and
Yeah.
authentic.
People are
Yes.
looking for heart. They are looking for heart more and more as the world becomes more automated. So make
Yes.
AI stand for audience interaction, audience inspiration, rather than anything else. So that's what
Yes.
I would say. Bring you.
I
Don't
love
don't
that.
outsource yourself.
Yes. Oh, I'm just feeling like this is so brilliant. Even just for our candidates who are interviewing with our clients, there's still a lot of online, Verity, believe it or not. At some point in the interview stage, there is a face to face, but it's not always
Mm,
the first interview. Sometimes
mm,
it's in the middle or right at the end. And this is just such a good reminder to candidates who are interviewing out there to really bring you. and let's take it up a notch. Let's go 200% in an online
Yeah.
session, guys. You need to stick out. Especially when there are multiple interviews happening with multiple candidates. I just feel like you really want to be memorable, which is what we spoke about at the beginning. So it is that story. Brilliant. 3 small changes that professionals can make this week to improve how they speak or present. And again, we say small changes because sometimes it's tiny little tweaks that we can make in our body language or our voice, our tone, whatever it might be. Just 3 little tips that we can actually take into our next meetings coming up next week. What can we do?
So some small changes, and I'm actually just going to give you the 4 steps I say we should use when we're building our communication. The first
Yes.
change is, how are you starting that meeting or that presentation? Can you
Yes.
grab attention and create curiosity in the first 30 seconds? Look at it and really go, can I ask a question that makes them go yes or no? Can I have a startling statement? But how am I going to grab attention right at the start to create curiosity in my audience so that they're listening? That's the first step. Your second step is to look at it and go, how am I going to earn attention by creating connection through
Yes.
story, through maybe an analogy, through something that really brings everyone together and that we feel connected? Because if you have grabbed and earned attention in your first minute, even if it's just a meeting, they are now ready for you to do what we're often there to do, which is feed attention. And that's where you give clarity, you give context, you give content,
Yes.
but you don't want to give that to people until you've connected here. So that's what I would say to people. Really look at, how am I going to start so that I start strong, to then take them through what they need to know. And the last thing is always, how am I going to finish strong? How am I going to move people's attention to get the commitment I want out of whatever communication's been happening? And
Yes.
most people focus on content and clarity, but they forget it's how you start and you finish that really stays with
Yes.
people. So that's
Yes.
something to think about going forward.
Sure. I absolutely love this. And again, it could be used in so many different scenarios, not just for, I'm thinking of it from a recruitment perspective for my candidates and my clients, and, how we show up in our meetings and our client sessions or whatever it might be. But I feel like this could really go beyond that for anybody who's willing to, just share their voice with the rest of the world. In terms of any topic, and I feel like this is really super transferable into any space. And I mean, Verity, just in closing, I have another interesting question. So how do you see the role of communication evolving though in like the next couple of years for executives and entrepreneurs? We spoke about, how everything is online and AI driven. Do you see any future trends that are upcoming? I mean, are things really going to go back to what they were, or what do you envision?
So answering this just off the top of my head, I think
Yes.
communication is going to be more critical than it's ever been, but
Yes.
authentic, heart-led communication, because we're going to have so much being communicated at us because of all these new platforms for AI, that the person
Yes.
that has the ability to communicate as a human to other people's humanness is going to be the
Yes.
person that stands out. So I think communication is critical, heart-led, story-led communication that is authentic, vulnerable, and heart-opening. You
Yes.
can't outsource that. So bringing you and communicating you is going to be the game changer, because a lot of people are not going to think they need to do that. That's how you're going to stand out.
Absolutely. So I think it is about changing the perspective and changing that mindset. And this whole idea towards the whole public speaking. So speaking in front of a crowd or even just your co-workers at work. It's just changing that perspective, changing the energy, and how you said, going in strong and finishing strong, delivering that message, but letting it come from a very authentic place. And yes, we can use AI tools to empower us and help us create better frameworks or whatever it might be, but don't forget about the humanness in everything that you do. So Verity, that was extremely powerful. I think this is definitely one of my favorite topics and podcasts, just because it speaks so dearly to myself in my own growing and development and everything that I work and believe in with my candidates. I work so incredibly close with them to build confidence, to show up in an interview, to say that I'm here, I want this. This is exactly what I've been looking for. I'm your person. And how do you basically, translate that in an interview? How does that look? So I love this topic. So thank you so much for sharing your very powerful insights and lots of practical tips. Very easy. You can do it in your own time, in your own space, as well as sharing your passion for helping leaders and individuals find their voice, build their confidence, and really present for impact. Definitely feeling enthusiastic, and I hope it leaves our viewers and listeners just feeling more confident about taking this leap, and wanting to build this side of their skills. And yeah, so also just in terms of contact details for Verity, I mean, I know that we will pop the details below. You'll find it in the caption. But I mean, Verity, do you want to share around how can people find you and reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. So verityprice.com. You can find me there. I have a free newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks with speaking and presenting tips to keep supporting people in finding their voice and finding their power. And then at Verity Price Speaks, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And I'm constantly sharing just little ways that you can upskill and level up your communication. So I'd love people to engage with me. And
Yes.
however I can support people with communicating for impact, I would love to.
Amazing, Verity. Absolutely. And we'll make sure that those details are in our caption as well. So just to our listeners, if this episode sparked new ideas and you're challenged now and you're thinking, don't keep it to yourself. Please share it far and wide with your friends, your colleagues, your co-workers, whoever is looking to really improve on communication in general, as Verity said it. And just so you know, our episodes are released bi-monthly, and we'd love for you to subscribe. Verity, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast. And yes, please share your thoughts. If you've got any particular topics, or you want to suggest some guests, please get in touch. And let's keep the conversation going, and let's keep growing together. So until next time, your host, Nicole from High Ground Series. Thanks for being here, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.